Thursday and Friday against the Carolina Hurricanes. And stay tuned for Riddle and the Reporter tonight at 6 p.m. as Junie Riddle and myself break down the Titans win and who perhaps will make the final cut for the Nashville Predators. You're listening to 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 102.5 The Game or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Broadcasting on Alexa.
I appreciate that.
And other smart speakers. 102.5 and 106.3.
And the score!
You can run different offenses.
The doors on the board.
Off the field, on the field.
The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Let me talk to you. Talking what's important to Nashville.
Sweet mother of God, what is the holdup?
This is the Chase and Big Joe Show.
Well, Lottie frickin' da!
With Chase McCabe and Big Joe Dubin.
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
We're here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
And a good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome in. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe with you. Big Joe Dubin with the day off. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos today. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your Tuesday. Got a lot to get into as we continue to break down the Titans' win over the Bengals. We'll be joined by Chad Withrow from Outkick coming up at 9:30. Get his thoughts on that and plus some college football. And then usually Rick Stockstill joins us at 10:30 on Wednesdays, but they play tomorrow, and so he's going to join us today at 10:30 to we'll get his thoughts on Jacksonville State coming to Floyd Stadium. It's the blackout game for the Blue Raiders, so we'll talk to him at 10:30, and then Willie D going to stop in kind of to transition between this show and his show because the baseball playoffs are here, and you know that Willie and I like to talk a little baseball.
2 o'clock.
I know. I can't wait. I love, like, the first day when it's basically all day, and we get the wild card series, for the next few days. So that should be a lot of fun. Dr. Crane, how are you today?
Doing well. Got a fresh cut yesterday.
You did. You look good, high
you.
and tight.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was going something different today. A few years back, I always like to just shave the head every once in a while, but I was like, let's keep a little bit of a little grass on top of the cap here.
Okay. Yeah, no, I like it. It's good. Very I would say it is within regulation. So you look very good. But we asked this question today because I've been listening in the last few days, and I feel like everybody's feeling, mostly positive about everything with the Titans and the win that they had Sunday at Nissan Stadium. So I'm going to ask a very simple question today. And you can call, you can text, 615-737-1025. You can tweet or X or whatever, at ChaseOnGame, at 1025 The Game. And the question is this. What are your feelings on Ryan Tannehill through 4 games? Because I'm going to be honest. I actually think outside of the New Orleans game, we know the New Orleans game was maybe his worst game as a Titan outside of the playoff game against Cincinnati. But it was bad. They lost that game because of him, and they were in a position to win that game. But since then, I think he's rebounded. I think he's played, decently. And, even the game against Cleveland, I don't put that on Tannehill because he had 0 time to throw. Because he had Myles Garrett breathing down his neck and, that pass rush coming at him. I put that on the offensive line. So I actually think for the most part, Ryan Tannehill has been okay outside of that first game. So 3 out of 4 is how I would look at it. But how do you look at it? 615-737-1025. Things have been they worked for them with the offense on Sunday, and obviously that first drive was not what you wanted, but pretty much everything after that, it was really good stuff. And Ryan Tannehill commented on being able to click on all phases on Sunday, and that ultimately led them to the win and to their success.
I'm proud of our guys. I'm not wondering anything. I'm proud of the way we responded. Had a great week of practice preparing for this game. We knew we wanted to come in, play well at home, and we were able to do that.
I think he has a chip on his shoulder. And I think he kind of always does, but I feel like especially since week 1, he's kind of carried that. I mean, I kind of gave him some crap for it, of getting a little testy, maybe is the best way to put it, in the press conference after that week 1 clunker. And he's like, I'm just ready to move on. I'm ready to move on. Well, no, you kind of got to answer for, the clunker that you had. And, he's responded. And he especially responded on Sunday, with his performance. And obviously it was a team performance. But, Jared likes to hand out the game balls. I would say that, obviously Derrick Henry gets one, but I'd give one to Ryan Tannehill too. I mean, he executed that offense that Tim Kelly is wanting to run. I felt really good. I felt that Sunday was Tannehill's best game and Tim Kelly's best game.
100%.
Probably is the best way to put it.
100%. And the scheme of the play calling, to me, the way I saw it on television was that without Treylon Burks in the fold, you had to really focus. The defense really had to focus on one wide receiver, which was D-Hop out in the secondary. And then you have, Chris Moore, who's coming into form, along with NWI. And then that really opened up the play-action game for Tannehill. I mean, having to solidify the run with Derrick Henry and the game he had really opened up the play calling for Tannehill to really be successful in the passing game.
It's funny. You mentioned some, you can get people's attention by saying Ryan Tannehill, because the text line blowing up now. Chase from Bellevue says, with protection, a top 15 quarterback in the league. That's probably fair. I mean, he's not elite. We've said that. Like, he's never going to be elite. He's got to have great players around him.
Serviceable quarterback.
Sure. He's a solid starting quarterback in the National Football League. Now, the question is, because yesterday, I heard the midday show talking about it, and I came in here during a break and asked Derek, like, do you think that they've gotten what they want out of DeAndre Hopkins? He said yes, that, I think D-Hop has been fine. So if you continue to get that, and then you can get Treylon Burks back healthy and going, and he can show that he can be productive and he can make some of these big catches, and then you add in NWI that has become serviceable. I think Chris Moore deserves more snaps. Obviously, he's showing he can make the big catch. Now you're going to put Kyle Phillips back in the fold, and if he can stay healthy, there's your red zone guy, because I think you need a red zone guy. Chikakonko's got to get it going. Tajay Spears I've been pleased with, and then obviously Derrick Henry. Then all of a sudden you got a pretty good little offense that you can put together and build upon what you did on Sunday. The biggest thing is going to be, can you get the protection with the offensive line? That continues to be it. Another texter says, Tannehill isn't the problem. Anyone that thinks that is just biased against him. 100% agree with you on that, 0432, because and put your name on these. I'd love to give you credit for it. I agree. I mean, I think there is a segment of the fan base that just can't stand Ryan Tannehill, and they're not going to like Ryan Tannehill anymore. They're done with him. You won't give him any credit. Chip from Mount Juliet, if the line does their job, Tannehill can win. Pretty much. Rob, Ryan is who we thought he was, a team leader, a slightly above average quarterback. Probably some truth to that. I'd say I'd agree with that. Above average, solid, however you want to put it. Chris says, give him protection and a balanced 50-50 split, and he will be fine. The Titans have to perform in consecutive weeks and on the road to make me start to think there is something there. No roller coaster season, please. Chris, I am 1,000% in agreement with you on that one, they've looked really good in their 2 home games. Okay, so clearly they like playing at Nissan Stadium, it being at 2-0. All right, I'll give them that. But it's got to be consistent. I agree on being, back-to-back, and you got to go to Indy and beat a rookie quarterback. I mean, I don't think the Colts are all that great. They should have won last week, and they didn't. And so, Anthony Richardson, I think, has been okay. Obviously, he's had to battle, some injuries, but so what? Is he 1-1 or 1-2?
1-1, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, or no? Did he miss 2 games or 1 game?
I think he just missed 1 game. Gardner Minshew started, I think, the second week.
Yeah, and he came our third week, because I think Richardson got hurt week 2. That's what it was.
Had the concussion issue.
Yeah. But he's still a rookie, and so you need to expose that. And I think the Titans defense is going to be all up in his grill on Sunday. So got to get consecutive good games and also go win one on the road. 615-737-1025, our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Chris in Paris wants to weigh in on Tannehill. Chris, what's up?
Hey guys, how are y'all?
Doing well.
All right, what I'm really sick of is all these Titans fans. Every week it's like we want to change quarterback. We want to put in Malik or Levis. You know, I mean, I know Malik's come on pretty well during the off season, supposedly. But I'm a Tannehill fan. I like Tannehill a lot. I hear a top 15 quarterback. I'd even put him maybe at the end of the top 10. He's a winner. And if you protect him and you take care of him and keep him off of his back, the man can win games. He's got a dart inside 15, 20 yards. I think he's a heck of a quarterback. I'm glad we have him. And I hope that if they protect him, that he stays around another couple of years. I'll hang up and listen to you guys. You have a good day.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the call. Good call. Yeah, and I mean, look, it's all about protection. It's all about the offensive line. That if the offensive line can keep him upright, then he's going to do everything that you ask him to do. And you put the right guys around him, and he can perform. But it's can he be protected? And because if he gets hit like he did in Cleveland and like he did in New Orleans and even some in the Chargers game, and I think he got sacked 3 times even against Cincinnati. I mean, if he keeps getting hit like that, he's not going to last the whole season. And that's your biggest worry and your biggest problem. 737-1025. Lots of texts to get to. We'll take your calls as well. What is your evaluation of Ryan Tannehill through 4 games with the Titans? We will continue to discuss that next. Chasing Big Joe. Big Joe off today. 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
We are Nashville's best sports talk, live and local from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. When you want the national
Hey. I got this. I'll take it from here.
Okay, go ahead. Dying to hear this.
We have the best national voices that you'll find anywhere.
Who was more deserving of being thrown from their game?
I'm odd, so I get the odd picks.
They have a new coaching staff.
It's not a bad scenario for them.
We are 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
And 94.9 The Fan.
Attention all fire protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC experts. Jarrett Companies are looking for experienced field technicians like you. Tired of working for your large corporate employer? Work for a company where you're more than just a number. Jarrett's Fire Protection, commercial plumbing, and HVAC divisions are owned and operated by Nashville natives who want you to grow with their amazing team.
Hi, I'm Jason Jarrett, owner of Jarrett Companies. I'm looking to hire experienced experts and will offer a sign-on bonus of up to $5,000 for certified professionals. In addition to our great benefits that include a 401k match, PTO, and top pay with annual bonuses, we'll also provide you with top-of-the-line tools, trucks, and equipment that you need to grow your career. Our customer base is large and our business is booming with many opportunities for advancement. Give us a call or go online to JarrettCompaniesInc.com and apply today to become a member of our family and protect our community. That's JARRETT CompaniesInc.com. Jarrett Companies, where we are above and beyond industry standards.
Willie Donick here for Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. The official brand perception report for doors and windows is in. Pella Windows and Doors are the leading brand among all others. A few reasons why. Pella is regarded as the highest quality, the most innovative, and the installers with Pella of Nashville lead the way for attention to detail. That's why Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville is one of Pella's top locations in the country. For new doors or windows, I suggest you choose the experts at Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Go to PellaNashville.com.
Hi, this is NFL alumni Tennessee president and former All-Pro NFL linebacker Al Smith. When I played, I worked hard to train my body, eat right, and practice to make sure I was prepared on game day. That's what vaccines and boosters do for your immune system to keep you healthy, and why I chose to get vaccinated and boosted. Talk to your doctor and get the information you need to make an informed choice. Go to vaccines.gov today. Gear up, Tennessee.
The Nashville Oktoberfest is quickly approaching, and now's the time to get your dirndls, Lederhosen, and Party Steins ready. From local breweries to live music and festival artisans, you can't go wrong celebrating this free family fun Germantown tradition. The Nashville Oktoberfest 2023, Thursday, October 5th through the 8th at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Prepare yourself for 4 days of brats, beer, live music, and competitions. VIP experience reservations are still available at thenashvilleoktoberfest.com. Prost, y'all!
So, if there's brunch, why isn't there dinner?
Or dunch, for that matter.
No, we know why there's no dunch.
Why is that?
People might get confused and miss brunch.
And I never want to miss a brunch this good.
Me either. Cheers.
Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel. Breakfast buffet Monday through Thursday from 7 till 10:30 a.m. and lunch from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Weekend brunch Friday through Sunday from 7 a.m. till 2 p.m. featuring cast iron pancakes, made to order waffles, and eggs and carafes of mimosas. Treat yourself today to Kitchen Notes at the Omni Nashville Hotel.
Every day we are live and local.
You need to give Ryan Tannehill a 2-year extension.
There haven't been too many coaching changes for the Predators.
And your source for Nashville sports.
I think that's what the Titans need.
Players who can score.
We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Sports Talk, the next generation. You're listening to The Chase and Big Joe Show.
Make it so.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Half, and then you come out and put together a drive to choose 10 minutes off the clock to start the second half. How much was that kind of a game icer, so to speak, to kind of really put yourself in charge?
Yeah, no doubt, it's huge. Obviously, would have liked to walk away with a touchdown there, but we marched it down the field. Had some big conversions. Took a lot of time off the clock. I think it was 9-10 minutes, something like that, and really chewed up that whole third quarter. So proud of our guys. We were able to put a big drive together right there. Battle through the heat. It was a warm day, and our guys gutted through it, battled through it, kept pushing, kept finishing, kept fighting, and that's what we want to be. We want a team that plays grimy, plays tough, plays physical, and is able to extend those drives and make those tough yards when it gets grimy.
Ryan Tannehill after the win on Sunday. Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Taking your calls and texts on your evaluation of Ryan Tannehill through 4 games this season with the Titans. 615-737-1025. Broadcasting live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. Chase with you. Joe off today. I made the joke he's on assignment, which Dan Rather named his fishing boat. So whenever they said Dan Rather was on assignment, that's generally where he was. So, it was accurate. But Big Joe with the day off. But going back to the phones and the text on Ryan Tannehill, 5825 says, Ryan Tannehill isn't the problem. He's not perfect, but he's not bad. There have been a few bad throws as well as a few drop passes. He's not going to win you a Super Bowl, but we already knew that. Give him a chance to get the ball out, and he will be just fine. The O-line has to play better, or it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback or running back. I mean, I used to say, like, when he first got here and he first took over from Mariota, I was like, I think he's capable of helping this team win a Super Bowl if they have the right pieces around him. That means a really good offensive line, Derrick Henry in his prime at running back, solid receivers. At the time, they had a young A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And, I mean, they got to the AFC Championship game. But, since then, they've obviously A.J. Brown's gone. Corey Davis is gone. They've had just a revolving door at wide receiver trying to find who can be that go-to guy. I like what I'm seeing so far out of DeAndre Hopkins. Traylon Burks has to show me more. He has to stay on the field, and he's got to catch it when he is on the field because there's been some key drops. Now, I will say, I can go back and point to some pretty big drops for A.J. Brown, but then A.J. Brown would turn around and make a big play and make up for it. Traylon Burks has got to do that too. So to the texter's point, yeah, he's not going to win a Super Bowl on his own. I don't think there's many quarterbacks in the league that you can say that about, anymore. I mean, obviously, Brady and Manning made everybody around them better. You got some guys now that do that. I would put a healthy Joe Burrow in that category, probably. Right now, maybe Josh Allen. I would say Josh Allen's probably in that category, and Patrick Mahomes is obviously at the top of that list when it comes to those elite of the elite. And then you kind of get into another category. Jalen Hurts right now is showing that, he belongs in the, top of the hill conversation, but are we ready to anoint him as an elite quarterback? I still need to kind of continue to see it grow. Lamar Jackson I've always been kind of back and forth on, of obviously athleticism, he's got it all. But when it comes to being a precision passer, he's not. And so, but so like thinking of those guys, obviously, all right, you'd probably take them over Tannehill. Justin Herbert, he's got to win. He's got to do something at some point. But okay, I'd probably take him over Ryan Tannehill. Trevor Lawrence, would you take Trevor Lawrence right now over Tannehill?
Yes, I would.
Okay, I probably would too. He's 23 years old, so he's continuing to evolve. Aaron Rodgers is hurt. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers, continues to be in that discussion. This is when you can get into the, okay, people say top 15. Well, maybe he could be considered top 10 or just outside the top 10. Kirk Cousins or Ryan Tannehill?
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one. I'd probably say Tannehill.
Yeah, I was going to lean Tannehill due to the fact that Kirk Cousins is not as mobile as Ryan Tannehill with his legs.
Yeah.
Would you agree to that?
I would.
Because that's one thing that would really stick to me is that if you're going to go with Kirk Cousins, you're going to have a really beefy offensive line. And with the Titans' sake of their offensive line right now, I feel like Ryan Tannehill sets a better, example with that offensive line than Kirk Cousins would.
Sure. Let's go back to the text. We'll get more those quarterbacks here in just a second. Ben says, what can Tim Kelly do to the offense so that Tannehill becomes capable of carrying us to the postseason finally when Henry gets stopped again? Because Tannehill needs to start doing those things now. Playoff football is different. Going to win 3 games plus the Super Bowl. I think if you continue to see the success of the offense like you saw against Cincinnati, if they can consistently put it together, and then everything that I mentioned of getting Treylon Burks involved and having him, and produce, DeAndre Hopkins stays healthy and continues to do what he's doing and then work in the other guys, then I would say that Tim Kelly can scheme that. And I've heard Derek say it for years. You can scheme guys open. And that I think you saw some, on Sunday. Look, the lateral that Henry threw over to Tannehill and then the deep bomb, that was a great ball from Tannehill. That was a dime. It just, D-Hop didn't make the catch. And D-Hop was pissed. And it said, I got to make that catch. And you know what? If you ran that same play over again, he probably makes the catch. It just – but you got to make that. And so that's not on Tannehill because Tannehill put it where it was supposed to go. He just didn't make the play. Now, they made other plays, and D-Hop made a pretty important catch, that set up that touchdown at the end of the first half. So, I'm not going to hold it against him too bad. Like I said, he's like A.J. Brown. If he makes a mistake, he makes up for it.
Exactly.
That's what Treylon Burks has to do.
Yeah, and, to your point there with Treylon Burks, and, the Midday Show mentioned it, you've already prefaced it a little bit. Would you rather just have Treylon Burks wait and get fully healed than actually have to rush him back into things?
Now, because Chris Moore and NWI are playing better than he is.
Exactly. And my next point to you would be if that's going to continue, you think this offense can still continue to produce the 20-plus amount points without Treylon Burks in the fold?
Yeah. Here's a good text. Dwight says, Ryan T is good for a $29 million quarterback, whereas Daniel Jones at 45 is not. Give me Ryan, Dwight in Kentucky. Yeah.
That's so true.
Yeah, he got, sacked 10 times last night, threw a terrible interception, got yelled at by his head coach. Yeah, he's not Danny Dimes anymore.
No, he is Danny Pennies.
And I knew that was going to happen. And they knew that was going to happen. You don't have Saquon, but you pay Daniel Jones because you kind of had to. You didn't really have a choice. Otherwise, you're going to start over at quarterback again. And so you pay him $45 million, and he sucks.
Yikes.
I'd take Ryan Tannehill all day long.
Any day of the week, for sure.
And here's what's funny. Evan on the text line just said Tannehill equals Daniel Jones. Tannehill just has a better O-line. I don't think he's Daniel Jones.
No. I don't know where that
he's
comparison.
Not Daniel Jones.
No, thank you.
He's better than Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Come on now. David in Arkansas. I think Tannehill has been pretty dang good. Everyone has a bad game here and there, but for them to lose the way they did to the Browns, that's not his fault. He's our best option to win. These fans who call for otherwise obviously don't know what they're talking about. That's David in Arkansas. If Tannehill was at quarterback instead of Jimmy G, the Niners would have beaten the Chiefs. What is that, the Super Bowl?
I believe so.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
He's better than Jimmy G. I 100% agree with that. You put him in the right situation with the right people, he'll win you ball games because he has the right supporting cast. 100% agree. Matt from Clarksville. So he still does the job. Okay, I thought there was more to that, but there you go. You're right. Ryan Tannehill is my favorite Titan ever, and I believe he's the best quarterback in Titans history. I'm not going to go that far.
Oh, Lord.
He's accurate. He's smart. Makes a few bad decisions, and is the ultimate team player and leader. More than anything, he's tough as nails. People don't appreciate the conditions under which he is operating. 3 consecutive years of historically bad O-line, and the only losing streak was when he was injured at the end of last year. If he's gone next year and it's Willis or Levis, we're all going to be wishing he was still here. I do think if they make that move and they get rid of him, people are going to wish that he was still here because you're going to realize that the grass isn't always greener. I don't know about Will Levis yet. I mean, the jury is still out. But to your point of him being the best Titans quarterback in history, I think he's the second. I'd put him behind McNair. But McNair is the best in Titans history. Franchise, you'd probably go McNair and Warren Moon, and then maybe Tannehill. But I think he's certainly, I mean, in the Titans era, yeah, he's up there with Mac. But I can't put him ahead of Steve McNair. And you talk about tough as nails. Steve McNair was tough as nails, 100%. If the referees would look the other way when the Titans O-line holds, like they do for certain quarterback offensive lines, then Tannehill may be more elite.
I think I know where he's going with that. What other team?
I know where he's going with that. Josh says, Tannehill has always taken the majority of the blame, and he has had bad games, but even some of those bad games are not all on him. I'm in the minority here, but even that Bengals playoff game wasn't completely on his shoulders. He threw the picks, but I don't think they were completely his fault. He had clunkers, but every quarterback has clunkers at some point in their career. Yeah, I mean, look, it wasn't all on him. I mean, and he made a couple of plays that AJ dropped. You know, I do remember that. And so, I mean, you know, that is what it is. Keep these coming. Your evaluation of Ryan Tannehill through the first 4 games. We'll ask Chad Withrow his thoughts on that. Coming up next, Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
They combine hard-hitting journalism.
The Titans asked Kevin Byard to take a pay cut.
Strong-willed opinions.
There's hot takes and then there's like weird takes. Yeah. This is a weird take.
And sometimes some old man takes.
I'm excited about it. So do I gyrate embarrassingly?
To create the perfect morning show, they are Robbie and Rex Road. Mornings from 6 to 9. Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
This is it. The legendary live band Phish returns to the road this fall. Phish. This Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, Bridgestone Arena. On sale now at livenation.com.
The Electronic Express 40th anniversary sale is going on now. Help us celebrate 40 years of service and save up to 40% throughout the entire store. This week, get a Hisense 65-inch 4K TV for only $399, or a stainless steel refrigerator only $499. Plus, get up to 60 months special financing on items like a top-load laundry pair, only $349 each, or an LG touchscreen laptop, just $799. Shop our 40th anniversary sale. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
DraftKings Sports and Social is bringing you the ultimate fan experience this football season with a 48-foot media wall, 22 TVs, mouth-watering game day eats, and cold beer. DraftKings Sports and Social, opening October 5th at Nashville Live on 2nd Avenue.
Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Give us a call on the phone line, sponsored by Wilson County Hyundai.
Yes, I'm looking for a friend of mine. Last name Jazz, first name Hugh.
615-737-1025.
Hugh Jazz. Chase and Big Joe are on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Tune in to 93.3 Classic Hits tomorrow for MTSU football. The Blue Raiders will kick off at 7 at home against Jacksonville State. Our coverage beginning at 6. Coverage also available on the 93.3 Classic Hits app and 93.3classichits.com. Chase McCabe here with you. Big Joe with the day off. And we'll return tomorrow. We say hello now to Chad Withrow of Outkick Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow, weekdays from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan. Chad, what's going on? How are you?
It's always great talking to the suit, Chase. Always an honor. So I appreciate you having me on, man. Happy to join you today on the show. Sad I can't talk with Big Joe, who's one of my favorites.
I know. He's got a couple of things that he had to do today, and so he had to miss. But before I get into some college stuff and the Vols with you, I've been asking the question for the first 30 minutes of the show. I've gotten a lot of response on it. Your evaluation of Ryan Tannehill through the first 4 games of the season. I know that New Orleans was obviously the clunker, and then they win big on Sunday, but how would you answer that?
Inconsistent, just like the rest of the Titans team. You mentioned it, Chase, but he was awful in week 1 against the Saints, and I think the biggest contributing factor to that 1-point loss in week 1. Week 2, he was great. I thought that was the best version of Ryan Tannehill, really throughout his time in Nashville. That is the good version where he's hitting play action pass deep. He's got the short game working. He looks certain of himself in the pocket. And even though he was under duress in that game, I thought he looked a lot more sure of himself in that Chargers game. The next week, I mean, you can just chalk that up to Andre Dillard can't block anyone along with the rest of the offensive line. So I give him a bit of a pass, but he didn't do anything in that game to elevate the Titans either. So I'd give him a C+ for that Browns performance, with the majority of the blame going to the offensive line. And I thought this past week was more of the good Ryan Tannehill at times. What wasn't great, wasn't as good as the Chargers game, I thought, but, more of the good. But it really just mimics this Titans team. I think I posted this, but it's just such a roller coaster ride through 4 weeks. They're 2-2, and it's been 4 very different performances so far for the Titans, which I guess we can probably expect more of. But you look at this division, Chase, I mean, it's a roller coaster ride for all 4 of these teams. I have no idea what to expect now in that AFC South, where you've got 4 2-2 teams after 4 weeks. So it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be an up and down season, but expecting consistency from Ryan Tannehill or expecting consistency from this Titans team is probably fool's gold. I do wish that the defense can become a little bit more consistent. I thought that would be the one given for this team this season, would be defensively, but we really haven't seen consistency there on that side of the ball either.
What's been kind of your thoughts on Tim Kelly and his play calling through the first 4 games?
Same thing. I mean, I thought week 2 and week 4, it was great. When the Titans are home and they're pulling out all the stops, and you've got Mike Vrabel in what feels like sort of a back against the wall game where not a lot of people think they're going to win, they're at their best. I mean, Derrick Henry had 1 more passing touchdown than Joe Burrow on Sunday. That tells me all I need to know about the play calling for Tim Kelly in that game. It was terrific. It was terrific against the Chargers. I wish they could get a little bit more of that going. I thought the 2 play calls against New Orleans were great and set up for touchdowns, and it was bad throws from Ryan Tannehill in that one. But look, so far, so good, I think, for Tim Kelly. It has been inconsistent just like the rest of the team, but I think far better than what we saw from Todd Downing. So I'm giving him high marks so far, especially this past week.
Talking with Chad Withrow from Outkick, now shifting into the college game. Vols off this week. They get revenge, if you want to call it that, against South Carolina, 41-20, but they're still ranked 22nd in the country according to the AP AP poll, and I think it has everything to do, and it should have everything to do with that awful, awful loss to Florida, because we're just seeing that Florida is not a very good football team. So what, in your mind, does Tennessee need to do to maybe get a little respect back, only having one loss?
They need to go out and beat A&M for starters, coming off the bye week. They should have a chance to get healthier. I think the loss of Brew McCoy is going to hurt, but I think the way that offense is structured, Chase, and we've seen this 1,000 times, they're going to have guys streaking wide open at some point in the game, regardless of who's playing receiver. So Joe Milton has got to get his game more finely tuned for that, and he's gotten a little bit better. Yeah, I mean, it's really, for Tennessee, just one awful quarter. I mean, they self-destructed in the second quarter against Florida. The rest of that game sort of played out the way I thought it might. You know, when Tennessee takes that 7-0 lead in the second half, they win that half, and not overwhelmingly, but the defense shut down Graham Mertz in Florida in the second half. It was one bad quarter, and you look at Florida, you're right, they look terrible right now. I think to win that respect back, and I don't know that they're going to do that this year, they need to go on the road and win a game. And they need to win a big game on the road, whether that be Alabama, Kentucky, whoever. That's where Tennessee has sort of been lacking. They were able to beat LSU at 11 a.m. because they got off to that enormous start in that game a year ago. That was a big road win. They've won some games away from Neyland Stadium. They beat Clemson in the Orange Bowl. They beat a really bad Virginia team at Nissan Stadium, but that was virtually a home game. They've won 13 straight games at Neyland Stadium. That's the most since 1996 through 2000, where they won 23 straight games. Josh Heupel's taking care of business at home. I think Tennessee is going to continue to play well there. Chase, I want to see them go on the road and look like that team again. Cooper Mays back is going to help. That was a huge loss in the Florida game. You saw Ollie Lane self-destruct along with the rest of that offensive line. A big part of Tennessee's offense is the center. I think he's the second most important part of the offense behind Joe Milton at quarterback. So getting him back is going to help on the road. But Tennessee needs to continue to take care of business at home and find some of that same magic and get some of that rhythm going offensively on the road at some point this season if they truly want to get full respect back. I still see this as kind of a bridge year for Tennessee, this 1 year with Milton before they hand the keys over to Nico Iamaleava next year. But it's a pretty good bridge year. They still got a chance at 9-3. You know, I think that's realistic for Tennessee right now. And I think Tennessee fans should probably be pretty happy with that, considering where this program was when Josh Heupel took over.
Yeah, for sure. And look, they have a lot of options when it comes to the offense. I mean, obviously, Squirrel White, Ramel Keaton, but how big of a loss is it to have Brew McCoy go off with that awful injury that we saw Saturday?
Yeah, he was their alpha on at receiver. I mean, they would even use him at times as a lead blocker.
Yeah,
I saw a lot of times that little quick screen is just an extension of Tennessee's run game. They'd throw it out to Squirrel White, and Brew McCoy looked like a fullback in front of him. That's how physical he was, and he brought that physicality to the position and could make the tough contested catches. No one bigger than that one last year at the end of the Alabama game to set up the game-winning field goal. It's a huge loss for Tennessee. There's no way around it. Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod, terrible name, by the way. Both those guys need to step up and step into that role and do more. Squirrel White, Ramel Keaton, they're going to be called upon more. I think Tennessee's really got something with McAllen Castles and Jacob Warren at tight end. Probably need to utilize them a little bit more in the passing game. It's just going to take other guys to step up. I think Brew McCoy was also one of the leaders in the locker room. So hopefully he can, he's had the surgery, had it on Sunday. He can get back around the team and continue to help them and lead in the locker room. But from all accounts, great kid. And I know people who know him well, great family, and hard worker, tough guy. So it's going to be a loss, not just the Tennessee offense and wide receiver room, but to the entire team. But it's also an opportunity for a guy like a Caleb Webb, let's say, to step up and really show himself this season.
Talking with Chad Withrow. Now, I'm kind of starting to think that Georgia might have a loss somewhere because of how they played against South Carolina, what we saw against Auburn on the Plains this week. I mean, that was a fun game to watch. Now they got to play Kentucky. Yes, it's in Athens, but do you feel like there could be a team on this schedule that could get them?
I was reading something this morning that was comparing this year's Georgia team to last year's TCU team as the team that just has the mental toughness to win close games. And in reading that, I went and looked up Georgia's roster star-wise versus TCU's roster. I think TCU had something like 11 4-star players, no 5-star. The rest were 3 or 2-star last year. Georgia's roster currently, Chase, consists of 16 5-star players and 52 4-star players on the roster. This is not TCU. This is not some, up-and-coming type team. They still have all of the talent in the world. And I'm not overstating that. They have all the talent in the world. They are loaded with NFL talent. Now, are they the same as last year? No. And I think the biggest loss is Stetson Bennett because he was their gamer. He was their guy that could really get things going for them. I don't think Carson Beck is that guy. It does look like they may get a loss at some point, but I mean, if we're just circling dates on the calendar where that could happen, the most likely culprit would be in Neyland Stadium in November, the second to last week of the season. Does Tennessee have what it takes to score on that defense enough to win? They didn't a year ago with Hendon Hooker. I know this defense isn't quite the same, but it's still really, really good for Georgia. So I'm not sure that happens. I think there's a scenario where they've already looked underwhelming compared to a year ago. They could look underwhelming based on the last 2 national championship teams and still go undefeated because the schedule they have in front of them. And their biggest test may be a resurgent Alabama team in the SEC championship game. I think they're now the best team in the SEC West. So we'll have to wait and see. But when you look at the roster and the talent and the 5- and 4-star blue chip talent that they have, it's still pretty remarkable. And I think they've got an absolute difference maker in Brock Bowers at tight end, and they use him a lot of different ways.
Yeah, and you mentioned Alabama. They play Texas A&M this week before A&M has to take on Tennessee. Do you think we'll see Jimbo and Saban go at it at some point in the game? Obviously, no love lost there, but this is a very intriguing matchup.
Yeah, it really is. I think Tennessee fans are probably hopeful that A&M, not any huge injuries, but gets banged up a bit in this game against Alabama, where Tennessee's got a bye week this week before they host the Aggies. Texas A&M's another team that they've got talent up and down the roster. They had one bad half. It's a little bit like Tennessee, honestly. Tennessee had the awful second quarter that doomed them in Gainesville, and A&M had a horrible second half that was riddled with turnovers against Miami. And outside of that, they've been really solid. I think Tennessee's kind of the same way. They've been pretty solid outside of that one quarter at Florida. A&M's very talented, especially along the defensive line. I think they're going to give Alabama a lot of problems. I think they're the type of team built to contain the rushing attack for Alabama, which is going to make it harder on Jalen Milroe. They can also get after him when they decide to pass. Alabama now clearly has an identity of what they want to do. And Bobby Petrino is an expert at figuring that out. He can figure out whatever the roster is. He's one of the great offensive coordinators that you can hand him a deck of cards and say, look, here are the cards that you've been dealt. Deal with it. Make the most out of it. And he can figure things out pretty quickly. I think that A&M is starting to do that offensively a little bit. Can they get it moving enough against Alabama's defense, to me, is the question. But Bobby Petrino is the guy that can make it happen. So I'm looking forward to this game. There's blue chip prospects across the board, and you know about the bad blood between Saban and Jimbo Fisher. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for this one to kick off on Saturday.
Yeah, I am the same way. Chad, appreciate it as always. Good to talk to you, and we will definitely do this again down the road.
Always fun, Chase. Thanks so much, man.
Absolutely. Chad Withrow, you can hear him as a part of Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow weekdays from 2 to 5 on 94.9 The Fan, and does great work with Outkick. Coming up next, I asked Chad if he thought that Georgia may have a loss, because I'm starting to lean that way, and I agree with something he said. We'll discuss that coming up next. Chasing Big Joe, no Big Joe today, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
He breaks down every game.
The players are still going to be fine.
And knows the ins and outs of the two-tone blue.
They deal with their own position coaches.
He is ESPN NFL Nation Titans reporter Teron Davenport.
It's clear what he's doing.
TD joins every Monday at 1, Thursdays at 3, Friday mornings at 8, and anytime on the Talkin' with TD podcast.
I think that's really cool how he could show both sides.
TD is on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Have you seen the selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches they now have at Genesis Diamonds? If not, Prepare to be amazed.
If people really know the watch world, they come in and they're in shock. They're like, I cannot believe you have this selection here. They're able to see them, touch them, feel them.
Meet Genesis watch expert Charlie Rivers, who says over the past few years, Genesis buyers have scoured the world to build a collection of luxury pre-owned Rolexes, including all the hard-to-find models.
Daytonas, Pandas, Sky Dwellers, a huge selection of Submariners, Hulks, Kermits, anything that you could ever possibly want. We have every luxury pre-owned Rolex that we have here. We ensure that it's in pristine condition.
So come in today and find the timepiece of your dreams at Genesis. Or if you already own a Rolex and are looking to trade for a different model or even sell it, Genesis can help you get top dollar.
If you have a Rolex, definitely bring it in. I would love to see it and do a complimentary evaluation on it and see what we can do for you.
Genesis Diamonds, now with one of the largest selections of luxury pre-owned Rolexes in America. Green Hills and Cool Springs.
Predators fans, Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, and Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue is your home for hockey action all season long. They are Predators approved and all the games are on, and they'll even give you the sound. Get awesome game day drink specials on Blue Note Bourbon and Black Abbey Beer. When you think hockey, think Brewhouse South in Cool Springs, Brewhouse Highway 100 in Bellevue, or Brewhouse West on Charlotte Avenue. Go Preds!
Are you ready to get pumped up and show your support for the MTSU Blue Raiders this season? Get ready to experience the thrill of cheering them on inside the legendary Floyd Stadium. And the best part? Season tickets are available at an unbeatable starting price of just $99. Don't wait any longer. Head to goblueraiders.com/tickets to secure your spot and join us in cheering the Blue Raiders to victory. Let's go Blue!
Introducing Gen Y Hitch, the ultimate towing solution for the modern adventurer. Whether you're hauling a boat, RV, or heavy cargo, Gen Y Hitch is your dependable companion. With its innovative design and cutting-edge technology, it delivers unrivaled stability and safety on the road. Crafted with precision engineering and built to last, Gen Y Hitch ensures a smooth and secure towing experience. Say goodbye to the hassle of traditional hitches and embrace the future of towing. You can find our full range of products and accessories at GenYHitch.com. Upgrade to Gen Y Hitch and tow with confidence. Your journey starts here.
At the Home Depot, Saturdays are about two things: getting projects done right with Behr Premium Plus interior paint and football. That's right, Kirk Herbstreit. And with Behr's wall-to-wall coverage and long-lasting durable finish, you'll spend less time worrying about your walls, which means more time for football. For football. Upgrade your Saturday with Behr and the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Vanderbilt football lives here.
This Saturday, it's Vanderbilt and Florida from Gainesville. Kickoff at 3 p.m. Coverage starts at 1:30.
Your home for the Commodores is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. You're listening to the Chase and Big Joe Show.
I could pull a better cartoon out of my ass. Hey, whoa! Wasn't that great, kids?
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Dr. Crane has decided it's a TV-themed Tuesday.
Hey, even though Joe's not here, we got to continue this little
We got to have
tradition,
fun.
I guess.
Yes, we got to have some fun. That is for sure. Appreciate Chad Withrow for joining us, talking a little Titans and college football. Hey, DraftKings Sports and Social, the most epic sports watching experience in town, is opening downtown on 2nd Avenue this Thursday, and Stillman and Company will be broadcasting live from 2 to 6. DraftKings Sports and Social features a massive state-of-the-art 33-foot LED screen, their world-famous menu, and signature curated cocktails. That's this Thursday, the grand opening of DraftKings Sports and Social downtown on 2nd Avenue. Go say hi to Jared and check it out. Going to be a really cool place for sure. I'm going to get a sneak peek of it tomorrow, so excited for us to be there. So I asked Chad about it, and he basically painted the picture that, Georgia is one of those teams that they got all the talent and they find a way to win. And look, I'm going to give them the credit. I'm going to give Kirby Smart the credit that even though South Carolina and Auburn gave them games and they made it very, very interesting, at the end of the day, the Georgia Bulldogs won the game. And great teams know how to win games and know how to close. And South Carolina is a hard one to figure out. I mean, we saw what they did last year, upsetting Tennessee, but they kind of look like they're about the same. Tennessee beat them, by over 20 points, 3 touchdowns this week. Auburn, I think Auburn's going to be back. I think Hugh's going to get that turned around. Just maybe not yet. But that was one of those, and I know coaches hate this phrase, but that was a moral victory, for them, even though they came away with the loss. But does Georgia have a loss on the schedule? Kentucky's coming off this high of beating Florida, absolutely dominating Florida, having a running back that almost rushed for 300 yards, had over 200 yards in the first half. I mean, it was total domination against the Gators. The Gators aren't very good. Could there be a hangover, so to speak, with that? I think Kentucky's a pretty good football team, though, and so this is where it gets very interesting in the SEC, because you can't have everybody go undefeated. I think Tennessee's pretty good. I think Kentucky's pretty good. Georgia is obviously elite. Alabama, as Chad said, is starting to show a resurgence, that they can do something. What is Ole Miss? What is Texas A&M? These are the questions that I think are going to get answered over the next few weeks. But does Georgia have a loss on their schedule? That is the million-dollar question. And to me, I am starting to think they do. Now, I don't think that if they lose a game that makes them, all of a sudden, oh, no, they're not elite anymore. Oh, they're not going to be a contender for the national championship or the playoffs. I don't think it means that at all. I just think it shows you how tough the competition is. And, we all talked about Georgia and their schedule and that they kind of had a weak schedule. And look, and they do. Their non-conference schedule was very weak. UT Martin, Ball State, UAB, and then they're at Georgia Tech, to close out the season. That of the non-conference schedule, Georgia Tech is their toughest one, and they should roll all over Georgia Tech. But now that you're in the meat of the SEC schedule, Kentucky's showing that they're a good team. We just talked about that. They'll come here to Nashville and destroy Vanderbilt. They should go to Jacksonville and destroy Florida. Missouri, I don't give Missouri much of a chance, but Missouri I think has played maybe better than people expected them to be. And maybe they're flying under the radar right now. So that's one of those that I think Kirby is going to, if they do in fact beat Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and Florida, that, Kirby will, have to be like, hey, don't get caught in the trap. Don't get caught in Missouri. And who knows what Missouri looks like when they get there. Ole Miss is intriguing because I think that, they didn't play to their best ability against Alabama, but I think Lane's got that, and it could be they are what they have been since he's been there, and they seem to be okay with that. But right now, that was a big win for them against LSU last week, so they're kind of riding that high. But they still got a ways to go when it comes to the conference schedule and their division schedule. And then November 18th comes. And they go to Knoxville. And to me, that is Georgia's next biggest test at Knoxville. And I've always thought that was going to be a big test. Tennessee's got to show me a little bit more. Got a long way to go to that point. And Tennessee's got to get through, some big games before that point. Obviously they got to play Kentucky, Alabama, Texas A&M, that we've talked about. They're in the bye week now. But I think if Tennessee continues to, show that that this Josh Heupel offense works and that they have some of the versatility on offense, obviously losing Brew McCoy hurts a lot. I think they can get Georgia. I am expecting that to be a phenomenal football game and one that I wish I could go to. I might try, but I think it'll be a really good one.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember this, Chase, but we had this same conversation during SEC Media Days.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I said that, and I do recall this, that Tennessee would flip-flop with Alabama and Georgia. They would lose to Alabama this year and then beat Georgia. And due to that fact,
I don't think that's far-fetched.
I really don't think so now that it's getting closer to that window of opportunity for the Vols. This could be the point where they end up getting over that hump with Georgia and possibly being a two-loss team that will be in contention for some sort of, I don't want to go this far, but I'm going to say it, college football playoff possibility.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be that because, I mean, Alabama would be second loss.
Correct.
You know, if they fell to them. And I do think 9-3 is probably where they're at. I'm not – see, I don't like that they're drawing Texas A&M after A&M has to play Alabama because I think Alabama wins that game. And so do you have a pissed-off Texas A&M coming into Knoxville that, you know, they're out for revenge? You know, even though Tennessee has the advantage that it's at home, that certainly helps. But, you know, to Chad's point, they got to get a big win on the road. And so that could be the next week at Alabama or at Kentucky. I don't think Kentucky's going to be an easy game for them either. Gone are those days. You know, in Mark Stoops, once again, people are going to be watching him. Does he stay at Kentucky, or could one of these bigger jobs open up and he be, you know, in consideration? But then, you know, at Missouri, again, I don't really know what Missouri is right now. I mean, they're kind of – I mean, looking at Missouri's schedule the rest of the way, I mean, Missouri now ranked – they ranked Missouri above Tennessee. That shows you how much that Florida loss has affected them. So Missouri's got to play LSU this weekend at home, but LSU is going to be pissed off. So I would, and I haven't looked at the line.
6.5.
LSU by 6.5?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. That seems right. Then they got to go to Kentucky. Then they have South Carolina. Then they got to go to Georgia. Then they got Tennessee. Then they got Florida. And then they're at Arkansas. So, I mean, Missouri's got some losses on that schedule. I mean, probably this weekend. I would take LSU this weekend.
Agreed.
Then I think they lose to Kentucky. South Carolina's a toss-up. They'll lose to Georgia. They should lose to Tennessee. Florida is a toss-up, and Arkansas is probably a toss-up at this point. So, yeah, that's what always happens in college football is you kind of see a team that they're overachieving, and you're like, oh, yeah, they look pretty good, and then it always evens out. That's typically what happens. We'll get back to our question of the day. Your evaluation of quarterback Ryan Tannehill through the first 4 games for the Titans, 615-737-1025. We will discuss that next. Plus, do we expect changes on the offensive line after a couple of roster moves? We'll do that next. Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Hey, are you seeking relief? Maybe you just want to enhance your day or night. Did you know there are legal THC products available right here in Tennessee? Yeah, really. You can have legal THC products shipped directly to the comfort of your home. Yes, comfort in cannabis is only a website away. Visit greentreescompany.com. That's Green Trees with a Z, and change your life today.
All of us at 102.5 and 106.3 The Game want to recognize our active military, veterans, first responders, and educators with the playing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming.
And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air,
gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
This is 102.5 and 106.3 The Game. Now, Your Game Center update.
This is Nick Frazier, and this Game Center update is brought to you by BetUS Sportbook and Casino, celebrating 30 years by offering the industry's biggest 125% sign-up bonus. Get started at BetUS.com.
Yesterday on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace, ESPN's Teron Davenport joined the show and was asked about the potential of players such as Chris Moore to get more offensive snaps.
Yeah, Chris Moore's average per catch is crazy right now. So I think it's, in the 30s. So when you look at that, it's just one of those things where when you go his direction, he's going to make something happen. And I love the way he attacks the football. I love how he's able to stack DBs. So he does deserve more opportunities. Right now, Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, this past week, he led them in snaps once again, and it's been that way pretty much every game this season. So he's getting his shot.
Tune in Thursday for more hockey action as the Nashville Predators host the Carolina Hurricanes in one of their last preseason games before the season. You can listen to the game right here on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
For more, follow us on Twitter at 1025thegame or visit thegamenashville.com. Live from the Hiller Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electrical Studios. WPRT FM Pegram, WPUC HD2 Laverne. Nashville's exclusive home for the Nashville Predators. 1025 and 1063.
79-52 Vanderbilt. And I think he's going to coach up by Cheryl.
You're going to see more moves. The Game.
A Cromwell Media Station.
Let me talk to you. Talking what's important to Nashville.
Sweet mother of God, what is the holdup?
This is the Chase and Big Joe Show.
Well, Lottie frickin' da!
With Chase McCabe and Big Joe Dubin.
Good, great, grand, wonderful.
We're here on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Hour number 2, Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Chase McCabe in today. Big Joe with the day off. He'll be back with us tomorrow. Dr. Crane, Nick Frazier on the ones and twos. We'll be joined by MTSU football coach Rick Stockstill at the bottom of the hour as they get ready for their game tomorrow against Jacksonville State at Floyd Stadium. We'll also have your chance to win a pair of tickets to that game coming up in just a little bit. But getting back into the Titans, our question of the day: what is your evaluation of quarterback Ryan Tannehill through the first 4 games of the season? We'll continue to take your thoughts on that on our phone and text line driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. That's 615-737-1025. Corey asked one earlier. He goes, question, if Ryan wins 2 Super Bowls, is he a Hall of Fame quarterback? I mean, that's I would want to go, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but compare – his numbers to some guys that did win 2 Super Bowls. But, I mean, Eli Manning, everybody asks, should Eli Manning be in the Hall of Fame? I think he's going to be in because of those 2 Super Bowls. And if you look at the numbers aren't bad. So, I mean, I would think with 2 – is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer with 1 Super Bowl win?
It's possible.
I think he's probably on the cusp.
Yes, it is very possible. With the career he had in Detroit and all those career numbers he put up with Calvin Johnson, I think that's what's going to help him get into the Hall. But also it's that 1 Super Bowl he gets with the Rams that kind of solidifies hey, I'm at the big boy table. Let me get a gold jacket as well.
Yeah. So, it's certainly an interesting question, but 615-737-1025. But the big thing with Tannehill, and we've, discussed this, is the offensive line. And now, I think the offensive line, you can say, had a good day. They had a good day on Sunday against Cincinnati. They did, Tannehill did get sacked a couple times, but overall, they had a good day. Henry had over 120 yards and got second on the all-time list with the franchise. So they have to be feeling good right now. Peter Skoronski looks like he's going to be back soon. After the appendectomy. That's big. I think you plug him right back in at left guard. I think Dylan Radunz has been okay. I think he's shown that maybe he's a serviceable backup, but I want Skoronski back in there right away. And then Nicholas Petit-Frere is going to be coming off suspension now as he, the NFL kind of changed the gambling policy and reduced his suspension from 6 to 4, and so now he is available. And so the Titans, made a couple of roster moves yesterday when it comes to everything. They activated. Hang on, I'm trying to find it. This is what happens when I don't pull things up. But anyway, Nicholas Petit-Frere is available, and so I think it was Xavier Newman that they waived to try and to make room for that. And so the question is, do you put Petit-Frere back in? I think Chris Hubbard's played fine. I wouldn't touch that right now. I would keep Chris Hubbard at right tackle. The only thing I would do is I would put Skoronski back in, and then maybe you decide, do you want to try Petit-Frere at left tackle instead of Andre Dillard? Do you want to try Radence at left tackle instead of Andre Dillard? Or put Skoronski at left tackle and keep Radence at left guard? You do have those options. I don't think you're going to see any changes this week. I think if Skoronski's available, the change you're going to see is he'll go back in at left guard and Radence will come out. That's what I think you'll see. And then, if that doesn't work, you might see changes for London, but it could be after the bye week when you have the extra week to work on things and see where it takes you. But this was Mike Vrabel yesterday when he was asked about the possibility of shifting the offensive line now that Petit-Frere is back.
When it comes to the line, they performed much better yesterday. Are you sitting here feeling pretty good about where they are right now? Or when you have a guy like Skoronski coming back, NPF to the mix, does it open up some doors to look at possibilities of maybe some changes or just?
Yeah, I'm sure we can change. I think if you have a coach, you never feel great about anything. At least I don't. We get back to work and it's a huge test, and I guess that's the attitude of a coach. I don't know.
Yesterday was
sucks, Jerome.
When you have a day like yesterday where you are eliminating those X plays defensively, is there something you're seeing or maybe not seeing that's the common trend?
Well, I think some of the coverage dictate that. Some of the coverage, right? So split safeties and guys, probably some of the coverage dictated that. Some of the pass rush dictated that.
That was Mike Vrabel, and it answered a couple questions. But he wasn't going to give you everything, and he even made fun of it. He kind of laughed at it of, yeah, we can change it.
Where's his pissy scale on that one?
I thought overall yesterday he was about a 6.
Okay.
Probably. He's most of the time in my maybe a 5. Maybe he was a 5.
He had a few chuckles in there, right?
Yeah, he was joking a little bit. I could tell he was like ready to be done towards the end. And I get that. When these things go like 15, 20 minutes, it's kind of like, okay, what else do we need to talk about? Because he's one of those guys that he wants to go and get back to work. But I think now they're not in like a great position because I'm not going to anoint the offensive line after one decent game where they still let the quarterback get sacked, I think 3 times. But at the same time, like now you got more to work with because you get Petit-Frere back 2 games earlier. So that's big that you could have him available for Baltimore. And, now you got Dylan Radence that has, played better and shown like, okay, maybe he can help in certain areas. Andre Dillard's going to be the one that everybody's going to be paying attention to on Sunday and then when they go to London, because if he's still the starter, he can't be the weak link at left tackle. And if he is, then they have options to remove him. Whether it's Skoronski or Radence or Petit-Frere, I think they would keep Hubbard at right tackle. I don't think they would shift him over. But and I have a feeling they're going to start looking at that. They're going to do that behind the scenes and look at that in practice and plug some of these guys in to go, okay, are we better off keeping it as is or are we better off changing it up? Because, I know they got Andre Dillard, for a relatively good price. The same with Brunskill. But I think we all agree that Dillard, even though nobody's been perfect, Dillard has certainly been the one that has struggled the most when it comes to the offensive line.
Yeah, I want to pose this question to you, Chase. If Nicholas Petit-Frere, when he does come back, would you rather like to see him kind of switch in and out with Dillard in a few, possessions here or there just to kind of ease him back into things? Or you just want it full of the fire?
I don't like that. I think you do that in practice.
Okay.
I don't like that. I think offensive line is one of those one of those positions that I don't like subbing in and out during a game. I mean, I want the 5 guys that you think are the best 5 that can give you the most time for the quarterback to throw the football, and you stick with those 5 guys unless somebody gets hurt. That's kind of how I feel about it.
And you're kind of set in stone on Hubbard staying on the right side and potentially.
Yeah, for now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's done anything to warrant losing his job.
Very true.
You know, I mean, I mean, look, say what you want about the situation with Petit Frere. I mean, I understand the spirit of the rule. I don't like the spirit. I don't like the rule, you know, for that a guy can't place a wager on a college game in the facility. But again, I understand the spirit of it. The NFL looked at it. They've made it. I mean, put more of an emphasis on don't bet on the NFL, you know, or you're basically done. That I agree with. They should do. But, you know, at the end of the day, he broke a rule. And so, you know, I don't think that means that your spot gets to be held because you're suspended. If the guy that replaced you is playing well enough, then I think you got to earn your spot back. That's kind of how I feel. Now, he could do that at a couple of different positions. You know, maybe like I said, maybe they try him on the left side, and it turns out he can play the left side, and he takes Dillard's spot. You know, that's certainly, and like I said, they're going to look at that. But, you know, I'm not going to just take it from Chris Hubbard because Hubbard's been fine. Hubbard has not been the problem. No. When I'm evaluating that offensive line, Chris Hubbard's name barely comes up, in my opinion. It's been the other guys. I mean, has he been perfect? Probably no, but I don't think he's the one that everybody's really focused on
exactly.
right now.
Yeah.
So we will see when it comes to the offensive line and the changes that they make. Real quick, this was Vrabel. He was asked earlier in the press conference yesterday just on the production overall with the offensive line.
Just did a better job of winning one-on-one battles last week and doing it more collectively. When you saw on film how that offensive line worked, were you happy with that improvement there?
Yeah, I mean, there were some good finishes. I mean, again, when we took the ball at the end there and were able to run the football and have the clock and run the clock out when they knew we were going to run, I thought that was a good ending to an efficient day on offense. You know, it could go one of 2 ways, right? 3 plays and punt and have to go back there and, you know, play defense probably, you know, gonna win the football game, but you're gonna have to go and rush and cover them, and you know we want to end the game, you know, with the football, and we did that. I thought we protected better. I thought there were a few lapses. You know, I thought, you know, they got us on the 1 3rd down with the TE with the game over there. Brew trying to probably do a little bit too much. You know, he was kind of working to the left side and, you know, came back over to help, and you know, Dylan was going to work back out and kind of gave up a cheap one there. So as long as we just all do our job, I think winning one-on-one in this league will always be something that'll be beneficial for us if we can do that in all 3 phases.
It was Mike Vrabel yesterday on the offensive line and their production. And Henry has an interesting text, says maybe the Titans already have a plan in place for the O-line just like they had a plan to get Hopkins. I think that's an interesting question. I mean, certainly they didn't start thinking about it yesterday. I know that. Coming up next, back to your texts on Ryan Tannehill, your evaluation of Ryan Tannehill through the first 4 games. Several of you have weighed in. We will discuss that next. Chase and Big Joe. Just Chase today, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Green right, box 2 run, double catch. He takes you inside the huddle through the eyes of a quarterback.
Wide 85, take!
Catch ESPN NFL analyst Tim Hasselbeck every Tuesday at noon as he breaks down the big stories in the NFL.
Buffalo, maybe Miami.
And with the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans might be like, we're interested in a 1-year, $1 million contract.
Tim Hasselbeck is on Caroline, Willie, and D-Mace on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
At Mercedes-Benz of Music City,
A healthy and productive culture takes a day-to-day discipline. Here's Sam Cavett, General Manager, with a few thoughts.
Mercedes-Benz has its standard, and we have Dream Motor Group standards. They're definitely on the same level, but I feel like we challenge ourselves at least as much as Mercedes-Benz challenges us. It's a genuine motivation to take care of customers, and we see it in the customer reviews.
Live the dream at Mercedes-Benz of Music City, mbofmc.com.
October is here, and you know what that means. Nashville's free annual event, Oktoberfest, this Thursday through Sunday at Bicentennial Mall in Germantown. Bring the whole family for a weekend of competitions, local artisans, vendors, live music, incredible food, and authentic German beer. Prost, y'all.
DraftKings Sports and Social is bringing you the ultimate fan experience this football season with a 48-foot media wall, 22 TVs, mouth-watering game day eats, and cold beer. DraftKings Sports and Social, opening October 5th at Nashville Live on 2nd Avenue.
The Electronic Express 40th anniversary sale is going on now. Help us celebrate 40 years of service and save up to 40% throughout the entire store. This week, get a Hisense 65-inch 4K TV for only $399, or a stainless steel refrigerator only $499. Plus, get up to 60 months special financing on items like a top-load laundry pair, only $349 each, or an LG touchscreen laptop, just $799. Shop our 40th anniversary sale. Electronic Express. We make it happen.
Blue Raider football lives on 93.3 Classic Hits.
Coming up Wednesday, the Blue Raiders take on Jacksonville State in the blackout game at Floyd Stadium. Join Chip Walters and Big Joe Dubin starting at 6 o'clock.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits. This is the Chase and Big Joe Show.
I wish you could just shut your big yapper.
On 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Things click across the board as great as they did for everybody today. Do you wonder a little bit, like, where's that been? Why haven't we been able to do that?
I'm proud of our guys. I'm not wondering anything. You know, I'm proud of the way we responded. Had a great week of practice preparing for this game. We knew we wanted to come in, play well at home, and we were able to do that.
That was Ryan Tannehill yesterday. What we got? Oh, that's a good one. WKRP. Nice. That was Ryan Tannehill yesterday, or Sunday after the win against Cincinnati. And I see what you did there. That was good. Very well done, Nick Frazier, Dr. Crane. This will be stuck in my head all day now. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And you know, I like that. That was kind of an example of Tannehill. Of you could tell he didn't like the question, and so he just kind of was like, "Look, I'm proud of our guys and stuff." But you know, Chad Withrow said it was inconsistent through the first 4 games. I think that's a fair evaluation of the team. You know, but like I said, I'm not putting the Cleveland game on Tannehill. Guy had no. I mean, did he elevate them? No, but I mean, you know, he's not going to do that. He had no time to throw. You know, he's got to have help. I think we've established that. So, where do you evaluate Ryan Tannehill through the first 4 games? 615-737-1025. Some of our texts from earlier. This texter said Tannehill is closer to Brady than Jones is to Tannehill. That's an interesting way to look at it. Like, and I see what he's saying.
Yeah.
You know, but like he's not saying Tannehill is Tom Brady. He's just saying he's closer to that than Jones is closer to Tannehill. Look, Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback. He had a good year and he got paid. Like the thing is, for Giants fans, what stinks for them is like they had no choice. It was kind of like, well, we can let him walk, but then we got to start all over again. And we had too good of a season to, you know, get a decent draft pick to go get that guy. Or we can pay him and overpay him and really overpay him and stick with him and hope for the best. Well, they haven't gotten the best.
Danny Pennies. I'm calling him Danny Pennies.
That's what he's been basically to this point. Brian says Tannehill has been okay. Turning the ball over too many times. Still don't think if the game is on the line, he can lead to a win. Now, it's interesting because earlier in the show, we were getting a lot of pro Tannehill. We were getting a lot of positive Tannehill. just, nobody wants to give him credit. We love Tannehill. Brian is the first one that I mean, he's not super negative. He said okay, but I've kind of been waiting for that of like, okay, where are the Tannehill haters? You're quiet right now. Because I've talked about that I think there's a segment of the fan base that they've just decided they're done with him and nothing's going to change their mind. Where are you? I want to hear from you. They're a little quiet right now. He's solid. We talked about it earlier. He's solid. He's not elite. He's never going to be elite. But, I mean, if you look at – we were doing this earlier. Some of the quarterbacks that are starting quarterbacks in the league, like Kirk Cousins or Ryan Tannehill. I say Tannehill. I would take Tannehill over Cousins. Deshaun Watson, I'd probably lean Deshaun Watson, but he's been just as inconsistent.
How about this one, Chase? Justin Fields or Ryan Tannehill?
Ooh, that's a good one. Probably Tannehill.
Really?
Fields has been awful. I don't know.
Would you say the Bears?
And I don't think it's all his fault either.
Yeah. Would you say the Bears have a better offensive line than Titans?
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so then that would lead me to Tannehill then as well.
I mean, if you plug Tannehill in right now and I don't think that offensive line is stellar, but I mean, like I would say it's probably better than what they have here right now.
Right.
But then you got DJ Moore, Claypool when he wants to play, and show up. I mean, he's got some stuff to work with.
Cole Kmet,
that's another one. I mean, I think they would have won already. I just think they've ruined Fields. I mean, they've changed coaches and offenses so much, and like he's just in his own head.
Kind of when Mariota was here with the Titans, there were so many offensive coordinators doing carousel.
Yeah, I mean, well, here's a prime example: Jake Locker, for instance. And I don't know if Jake Locker would have ever been. I think he would have been Tannehill. Like he could have been like that kind of guy. Ken Wisenhunt ruined him. Absolutely ruined him to the point where he said, "Screw it, I'm out. I'm done." And nobody has heard from him since. Like, you talk about a guy that fell off the face of the earth, Jake Locker is that guy. Like, I don't know where he is. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he looks like anymore. I mean, because that's him. Justin Fields is going to last longer probably. Like, I don't know if they're going to – I mean, if they end up with the number 1 overall pick, and they could have number 1 and number 2 because of different moves. So if that happens, then, I mean, don't you have to go Caleb Williams and Marvin Harrison Jr.?
You'd have to.
Like, don't you have to?
This is just me being hypothetical here, but, like, would that mean Justin Fields to possibly get traded to Arizona and then kind of dash whatever?
Yeah, but you're not going to get much for him. But yeah, I mean, or do you trade, the number 1 overall pick to a team that's desperate, get more draft capital, keep number 2, take Harrison Jr., and then hope that with all the draft capital that you've gotten and Harrison Jr. that you can fix Fields?
Man, that's a tall order there. I mean, Chicago has a lot of firepower right now, and they need to figure it out. Like, if they want to just kind of tank, they can tank and then get those guys. That would be a very interesting option for them.
Sure. I'm gonna get another quarterback in a second because I think I'll get people's attention with this. But a couple of more texts. Wes and Hermitage. I've been. We read that earlier, but you're right. He's been a big supporter of him of the offseason, along with bashing the Jags on people claiming that they were elite. Ryan has been fine. When the team plays well, he typically plays well also. I hope we can remember this Bengals game now and toss out the one from a few years ago. Let's go. Tighten up. We're coming for you, Anthony Richardson. That was Wes and Hermitage. Alex from Montreal. Tannehill is who he is. He has his limitations, can bring you to the playoffs, maybe can win the big games, but probably not. Adam in Clarksville's reading my mind. I'll get to that in a second. Ron, Brock Purdy or Tannehill? Right now it's Purdy.
Yeah.
But again, you throw Tannehill in that offense with those weapons, then he's probably in the MVP discussion, and he's not going to win it because McCaffrey probably should.
100%.
But I mean, like that's the thing. Like there's certain comparisons that aren't fair because you have to look at the offense. You have to look at the pieces around him. I mean, you put Brock Purdy on this team, like they're probably in the same boat. I mean, the dude was the last pick in the draft for a reason. Like, let's not forget that. Like, good on him for doing what he's done and not losing a game as a starter yet, in the regular season. Like, that's awesome. But he was still Mr. Irrelevant. There's a reason.
Yeah.
So it's the offense. I mean, like, you could probably go run that offense.
Oh, I would be more than happy to run that offense, Chase.
I mean, because Shanahan, like, he's that good.
He is. You could honestly, you could put me in there, and I will throw a slant route to either Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk. They'll go for 40.
23 or whatever number Deebo is. Go to them.
Yes.
Every play. And every now and then go to Kittle.
And if I want to run the ball, George Kittle. Just lead me to the promised land.
Yeah, just go to Kittle. So, I mean, that's a tough one. That is really a tough one because, like, I don't consider Brock Purdy elite because of that offense. Trent says 7 of his last 8 years he's been over 4,000 yards. Philip chimes in, Dobbs or Tannehill? Tannehill. Love Josh Dobbs, but Tannehill. Josh, Ryan is different when not sacked in like the first 8 minutes of the game. He seems to get happy feet after being sacked. Overall, I take Ryan over all QBs besides main ones in the AFC, maybe Hurts and Brock. That Josh. Now, here's the one I was going to get to. And Adam in Clarksville asked the question too. Tannehill or Dak Prescott? Because I think that one gets people's attention. Because I'm going to be honest. And these are my teams. These are both my teams. And Dak got pissed off. Somebody asked him a question that pissed him off after the win. They dominated the Patriots. I read it was the worst loss in Bill Belichick's tenure with the Patriots. But they got beat the week before by Arizona and were driving to at least tie the game, I think. And he threw a terrible, terrible pass that got intercepted. So, I mean, it's kind of like I don't consider Dak elite either.
Right.
I lean Tannehill.
Man,
again, it's like if you put Tannehill on that Cowboys team, because the Cowboys have a legit offensive line.
They do.
They have a legit offensive line. They have for a long time. And then the weapons that he has, obviously led by CeeDee Lamb, I think Pollard's a pretty good running back. Now, I do miss Zeke. I like the 1-2 punch. But I'd lean Tannehill.
Yeah, I mean –
maybe a soft lean, but I'd lean Tannehill.
Yeah, I mean, with the likes of Michael Gallup and Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson, who's become a really good tight end for them. I mean, and you have a backup like Rico Dowdle. I mean, like all of those pieces put together for Tannehill and a solid offensive line, he could actually be useful in the run game like he used to with the Titans, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you, Chase. I would lean Ryan Tannehill in that Dallas offense.
I just think I think Dallas – they find these guys that are just good enough, but like you put them in the big moments. And look, I mean, Romo was on some bad teams. Like if Romo was on this team, maybe it's different. If he had this offensive line, maybe it's different. I mean, I would have said I would say to this point Romo was better than Dak. But they just find just good enough. But not elite.
You know how hard it is for me to not pick Dak Prescott for being a Mississippi State.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we got a Hail State already.
I just can't help it. I can't help to not pick Dak Prescott.
I like Dak.
Yeah, who doesn't?
I like Dak, but it's can he win you the big one? The answer to me right now is no. Until I see otherwise. And look, I'll be the happiest person in the world if I come on the air the day after the Super Bowl and I'm talking about the Cowboys winning it and Dak's the MVP. And you'll hear me go, yep, I was wrong. But you got to show it to me first. Coming up next, we'll talk to Rick Stockstill, head coach MTSU. They're in action tomorrow night at Floyd Stadium. We will do that next, and also your chance to win a pair of tickets to that game here on the Chase and Big Joe Show, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode. Mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
When getting the job done right is job one, you need construction equipment that's built right. From compact track loaders to the world's #1 selling compact excavator, the Kubota construction lineup features durable Kubota engines, more comfort, and the versatility to do it all and do it right. Visit your local Kubota dealer today. Go to KubotaUSA.com for full disclaimer.
Are you drowning in credit card debt? Want to get cash out of your home's equity? Loan Pronto can do it now in less than a week. Hey, Willie Donick here. That's right. Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit just got even faster. You can get $50,000, $100,000, even $200,000 in as little as 5 days. You don't even have to touch your primary mortgage. You can keep that 3% rate intact. Get just the money you need and pay off all those credit cards or get that home improvement project started. With this revolutionary program, you can access up to 90% of your home's value, and in most cases, there's no appraisal. Stop paying insane interest rates to the credit card companies and get tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash in as little as 5 days. Call Loan Pronto now for the even faster Equity Express line. 615-499-5780. That's 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. 615-499-5780. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval.
This week's Nashville's best deal is 312 Pizza Company, serving the best pizza in town, as well as Chicago-style eats like Chicago dogs, Italian beef sandwiches, and more. It's also a great spot to grab a beer and watch your favorite team on the big screen. 312 Pizza Company, 371 Monroe Street in Germantown. Head to thegamenashville.com/deals and get half off a $30 gift card. It's 312 Pizza Company, while supplies last.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6759. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6759. That's 800-575-6759. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, if you missed our show, you can get it on demand. Just search for the Chase and Big Joe Show podcast on Apple, Spotify, or any podcast platform.
Chase and Big Joe are on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase and Big Joe TV theme Tuesday, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hope to be joined by Rick Stockstill, MTSU head football coach, here in just a few minutes. As they're in action tomorrow against Jacksonville State, you can hear that starting. Our coverage begins at 6 on 93.3 Classic Hits. Hey, join Robbie Stanley this week, Chris Sanders and Derek Mason at Twin Peaks in Madison this Sunday from 9:30 to 11:30 as NFL pregame will be there. They'll break down the Titans' Week 5 matchup against the Colts and give you the latest update before the game. Our NFL pregame show is presented by Parman Tractor and Equipment and the Beast Unleashed, so check that out. Tell you what, while we wait for stock, how about we give a 4-pack of tickets away to see MTSU take on Jacksonville State tomorrow night at Floyd Stadium. Cool spot to go in Murfreesboro, a Wednesday night game. 615-737-1025. That is our phone line. Caller number 5 will win a pair of tickets to see MTSU take on Jacksonville State, or I'm sorry, a 4-pack of tickets to see MTSU take on Jacksonville State tomorrow night at Floyd Stadium. Caller number 5-615-737-1025. You can hit us up there, and hopefully we can talk to Stock here in just a second. So we will effort that as the Blue Raiders, because I want to ask him about, just him looking at the film, and because Western's one of those games that it's just like you saw some good, but the little things got you in the end. And you see that so many times that, it's the old phrase of death by 1,000 cuts. I mean, that's what it was. I mean, it was just little bitty mistakes that hurt them in the end, and ultimately led to that 31-10 loss. But I mean, they had their opportunities to score, and they couldn't do it. And I mean, I kind of compare them and Vanderbilt right now of they have the opportunities, but they can't capitalize on them, and then the mistakes just put them in a deep hole. And that's something that you can't have, especially now that you get into conference play. And so they're going to look to rectify that tomorrow at Floyd Stadium, and hopefully we'll get to talk to Coach Stock here in just a few minutes. We'll go back to the text line, though, as people have weighed in on Ryan Tannehill. Gary from Clarksville, I believe Tannehill can win and lead us to the Super Bowl. The issue I see is he has to have all the right pieces around him. Absolutely. If one or two pieces are missing, then he becomes subpar. That's why, I'm hoping, big thing for me is I need a red zone threat. And I felt like Chigakonkwo could do that, but I think they've had to chip him out a little bit to help the offensive line, and so you're not really getting what you want out of Chigakonkwo right now. Kyle Phillips, can he be that guy? Because if Kyle Phillips can be that red zone threat that they have been looking for, then I think you feel better about that. If he can't, then you got to find somebody. Westbrook-Akina has been that guy. He's looked good. But I think that's where Tannehill could use a little help. But then if you get and I would put Tajay Spears in that too. But then, you get DeAndre Hopkins continuing to play the way he's playing. Treylon Burks comes back healthy and can catch the ball and make plays. Chris Moore, maybe involve him a little bit more. NWI, Kyle Phillips, Derrick Henry. Then, I think you certainly have you certainly have some weapons to work with. And while they're not the best and not elite, I think he's got enough of a cohesive unit that he can do some things. I mean, that's kind of where I think. One texter says he has one good game, and now these delusional fans think he can win a Super Bowl. I don't think it's that. I think that's what it's always been. Of everybody's got to be great around him. Even Mike Vrabel said that years ago, that we have to be great about Ryan Tannehill. Do I think this team's going to win the Super Bowl this year? No, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I think it's going to be one of the teams that we've been talking about since the offseason. The one that I'll take out is Cincinnati, because I think they've poorly managed this calf injury with Joe Burrow. I think they should have sat him out a couple of games and let him get healthy. They didn't do it, and now they find themselves in a hole that I don't know if they can dig out of. Maybe they can, maybe they can't. But, I don't think Kansas City has hit their stride yet, and they're winning. Buffalo, Miami, is Miami in there? If, and this is a big if, Rodgers does come back before the end of the season, will there be enough time for him to get the Jets back into it? I don't know. Philadelphia seems as advertised. San Francisco seems as advertised. It's going to be one of those teams that everybody had been predicting before the season started. That to me is what it's going to be. And so, would it be great if the Titans could make the playoffs and then maybe steal a win somewhere in there? Absolutely. I think you would chalk that up as a successful season and go, okay, well, we exceeded everybody's expectations, because all the national prognosticators thought, well, they're not even going to make the playoffs. And they might not. The whole division's 2-2 right now. It's wide open.
I will say, to your point about Mike Vrabel, yes, this team possibly could have won the Super Bowl. That's a very big if. But they do have a very good shot. Like you're saying, all teams are 2-2 in the AFC South. They have a really good shot at winning the AFC South. And if that is the case, this team does get into the playoffs. Don't mess with the Titans when they get in the playoffs. This is a team, when they get hot quick and fast. It is a team that you don't want to mess with when they are hitting on all cylinders.
Yeah.
So to that point, I mean, could they win the Super Bowl? Yeah, big if. But the playoffs, second round would be the high expectation there.
Sure. With the which quarterback would you take compared to Tannehill? You know, obviously Dak is, I think, the most intriguing one of. But then another texter asked earlier, what about Tua?
I'm taking Tua.
I think I'm taking Tua. I mean, again, Tua, they had a bad game. They had a bad game. They had a great game, and then they had a bad game. And when you put up 70 and have one of the highest scoring games in NFL history, I don't think anybody is too surprised when there's a hangover. And there was a hangover, and they went into Buffalo, and it's a tough place to win. Buffalo was probably all week just salivating, going like, yeah, and nobody's giving us a chance. Everybody thinks we're done. Everybody thinks we're washed up. Miami's going to come take this division now. Okay. All right. Sure. Watch
what about
this.
Seattle?
Yeah, Seattle's interesting.
Because, like, if you put Tannehill in that offense, it's almost like the Titans version. The Titans are Seattle in a roundabout way, you know, if you think about it. You have two solid wide receivers, a pretty decent tight end, Noah Fancy young guy, Chig's a young guy. And you got a guy like Kenneth Walker, and then you compare him to, not trying to compare him to Derrick Henry, but those are two perennial running backs in the league. So, I mean, it's kind of almost the same thing.
Jared Goff. Right now, I might take Goff.
Yeah, if I say Goff's hot right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, him getting traded to Detroit when everybody thought they were just throwing him away, that turned out to be a good move for him. And he's 28.
There's a lot of prime left in that.
Yeah, I mean, in Detroit, they've been something. Matt Stafford.
I'm sorry, it's gonna take me a bit. I'm gonna lean Matt Stafford.
It's close. It's close.
It's just
at this point in his career.
The thing that hesitates me the most with quarterbacks like a Jared Goff and a Matt Stafford is their ability to run after the play is kind of already developed, to make nothing out of something. Because Ryan Tannehill does a good job at that for the most part. You know, yes, he's taken a few sacks here or there this season already, but when he's able to get outside the pocket and sees a little bit of open space, he does, you know, expose the defense when he does have that opportunity to run for a first down or more.
Yeah. Baker Mayfield. Right now, I'd still take Tannehill, but certainly makes you think.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bake Show in Tampa working out pretty good.
The oven is cooking with Baker Mayfield.
I mean, look, that's a division. It's just like the AFC South. I mean, that's a division that anybody can win. I mean, except for Carolina's terrible. They're not going to win it. You know, Atlanta. What sucks for Atlanta, I think Arthur Smith is going to get fired this year, and that's unfortunate because I don't think it's all his fault. But you know how this works, and because it's like the thing they're missing is a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. I mean, Desmond Ritter's not an NFL quarterback. And that's their problem. You know, he tried to revive Mariota last year. That didn't work. That ended poorly. He just hasn't been able to get his guy. I mean, we know what he can do offensively. Yeah, I was thinking about this the other day. Like if, you know, Tim Kelly becomes a hot name and gets a job, which I don't think he's going to, but if he did and Art got fired, then, I mean, you make that move as quickly as you can, right?
You have a home here in Nashville.
Yeah, I mean, you do that. But, yeah, I don't think it's going to work.
You mentioned a resurgence with Mariota possibly last year. You know who has a big resurgence so far this year is Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, you're right, in that offense. Yeah.
It's just he's clicking.
Yep, and I think that's good. It's just got to get a quarterback for them.
Mm-hmm.
Willie D is going to jump in next, and we'll talk all things with him. We'll ask him the Tannehill question plus some baseball. The playoffs are here. Chasing Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3, The Game.
New home. New energy. Same Blue Raiders.
99 yards! Touchdown, Middle Tennessee!
Catch Watch every game for MTSU on 93.3 Classic Hits. Coach Rick Stockstill is poised to lead his team to yet another bowl appearance.
We're really excited about this opportunity.
Your home for the Blue Raiders is 93.3 Classic Hits and the Classic Hits app.
Hi, this is Warren Moon, former quarterback for the Houston Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler, and member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. As a former player, I've always focused on my health. Did you know about 1 in every 3 people in the U.S. will have shingles in their lifetime? Shingles can cause nerve pain and can last for months or even years. As we get older, our risk of having shingles and its serious complications increases. Getting the shingles vaccine is the only way to prevent shingles. Join me and gear up against shingles.
In 1972, a Nashville family business story began when Bill and Beverly Finley founded Volunteer Hose and Gasket. 3 generations have grown the business into the local industry leader supplying just about anything to anybody, from the largest of contractors to your neighbor that mows his own yard. Over 1 million items in stock: belts, belting accessories, gaskets, gauges, hose fittings, hydraulics, industrial hoses, lubricants, sealing products, tubing, fire protection, and more. All at volunteerhose.net. If Volunteer Hose and Gasket doesn't have it, then you probably don't need it. Call them at 615-242-0461. Teddy's Tavern, downtown's newest bar with an old Nashville feel, is conveniently located across the street from Bridgestone Arena and just blocks away from the pedestrian bridge. Get a taste of the new brunch menu to fuel your Titans Day pride on game day. Pre-game specials from 9 a.m. till kickoff when the Titans play at home include 2-for-1 draft beers, mimosas, and Bloody Marys. Teddy's Tavern is where you want to be before every Titans home game, so come downtown early and meet me at Teddy's.
Get in on the conversation at 615-737-1025. The game text line is driven by Wilson County Hyundai. Online at wilsoncountyhyundai.com.
At EasyCater, we know ordering food for work isn't as easy as it seems.
Lunch meeting is set for Wednesday.
We need food for 27 people.
And it has to be on time.
Client is coming.
He's vegan.
Messy eater. Where's white shirts?
You getting this?
Okay, what do we need?
Gluten-free. No more sandwiches.
Make sure there's enough.
Make sure the food is hot.
Brian has a hard stop at 12:30. Make sure there's plenty of spoons, tomatoes, and potatoes. Stay under budget.
Itemize 5 more people.
Lunch meeting? Just use EasyCater. Food for work delivered on time as ordered with a huge variety. 100,000 restaurants, one platform. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
Just a minute, don't hang up.
Hey, we want to hear from all of you. Give us a call or text at 615-737-1025.
Hello. You'll have to speak up. I'm wearing a towel.
Our phone line driven by Wilson County Hyundai.
Chase and Big Joe are on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game.
Chase and Big Joe, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Hard to believe. Baseball playoffs are here. Getting underway today. Going to be awesome. Let's bring in Willie D. Coming up next, Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace. What's up, Willie? How you doing?
Chase, I'm doing great, man. I am pumped up. Where are the celebrity birthdays? That's why you brought me on, right, after my performance last time?
Well, I brought you on to talk some baseball, but maybe we'll do some celebrity birthdays.
Man, that's even better. That's even better. I love talking baseball, Chase.
I know you do.
I am a baseball nut. Look at my enthusiasm. Listen, coming through the radio, my enthusiasm, despite the fact that my Mets set a record with payroll and didn't make it. I'm still here. I love October baseball.
Yeah, with Buck Showalter saying he won't return, he's out as the manager.
He got fired.
He got fired. I mean, I don't think it was on Buck either. I don't know if I agree with that move.
No, you know what it was? It's one of the teams you're going to be watching here in October is the Brewers. They do, and the sounds have a lot to do with it, right? They do more with less, so the Mets are tapping into that tree. They've already brought in a new baseball operations guy, David Stearns, and he did not see eye to eye with Buck Showalter. It was very frosty. He didn't even really reach out to Buck to talk to him, and so that's got a lot of people ruffled a little bit in New York. I mean, I love Buck Showalter. He's speaking of the sounds. I mean, that's sounds through and through right there. So tough way to go out, but the Mets are going to move on. I hope there are good things. Buck Showalter is going to be fine. He may make the Hall of Fame someday. He's taken 4 different teams to the postseason. That's hard to do. Maybe he gets another gig, and if not, he'll end up in the booth somewhere. Yeah, no, I think so too. And honestly, he should stay in New York and maybe go to the Yankees or back to the Yankees. I know he did that before, but I never know. I mean, it looks like Aaron Boone's going to stick around, and I don't know about that. But
nonetheless, they've decided to do that. But some intriguing matchups with the wild card. And number one, this is kind of cool, seeing baseball on ABC again with the Rangers and the Rays. That'll get underway at 2 o'clock today with the AL wildcard game 1. That's a tough matchup because I think both these teams are pretty good, maybe faltered a little bit and got themselves in a wildcard position. But I really like that matchup.
Yeah, you got me thinking with baseball on ABC. I'm wondering where Howard Cosell and Don Drysdale and Al Michaels, the guys I grew up watching, those are some great times. But I think they're going to be great series. You know, the National League alone, you know, I think about a lot what the Phillies did last year, and I think they have a team that is very much equipped to do the same thing, maybe even more equipped to do the same thing they did last year, which might give Braves people a little bit of pause. But I also look at this 2 out of 3 game series, and they could be out in 2 days.
Yeah.
You know, there's a kid named Jesus Luzardo who once pitched for the Sounds, who's going for the Marlins tonight, and he could absolutely shut them down. I've watched him all year long. He was on my fantasy team. By the way, congratulations to Jacob Stallings, catcher for the Marlins. That's an unbelievable job that team did, considering, you know, Sandy Alcantara didn't do anything all year. Then he got hurt. They don't even have him. They lost Jorge Soler not long ago, former Brave, right, who's hit a ton of home runs. Jazz Chisholm, maybe their most talented player, didn't play, and they're still in the playoffs. That's unbelievable how they've made it that far. So I think it's going to be – anything can happen in these 2 out of 3 game series. That's what's very compelling about them.
I know, and I like it. I mean, you know, you and I have had discussions over the years about being, you know, kind of baseball purists and some of the rule changes. But, like, I'm cool with a series, you know, getting more teams in and having a best 2 out of 3. Obviously, we've talked about the rule changes for the games themselves and how they've worked. But I think baseball finds themselves in a better position, a much better position than they've been in years past. And I'm hoping that the viewership shows that with some of these matchups that we have. I mean, Arizona, Milwaukee, Toronto, Minnesota. I mean, there's some good matchups in the wild card round.
Well, and, you know, you're going to have to do it without the Red Sox and the Yankees, and some of the sexy teams are not in there, the big market teams that may bring a bigger audience. But I do hope that a lot of people that maybe used to be bigger baseball fans give it a shot with the rule changes. The rule changes have been hit out of the park. I love what they've done, and I think it's going to help in the postseason. The only thing I'm worried about is I know they add the commercial time to the playoff game, so there still might be some long games. I'm hoping that the pace of the game stays close to what it was in the regular season, because it was a great product this year. So I'm all over this. I don't like the 2 out of 3, to be honest with you. Maybe it's me being more of a Mets fan that saw their team exit in 3 days after winning basically 100 games. But there is high stakes in every game. I don't like that the best team like the Braves still has to win 3 rounds to win the whole thing. That's the purist in me. But I'll tell you what, it just is amazing how you could be a very mediocre team for a large portion of the season and then get hot at the right time and win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, and look, you know me, I'm worried about pitching when it comes to the Braves. I mean, they got the best lineup in baseball, but you know, can you score enough runs to help the pitching out? It's different in October.
It's different in October. I think the Braves are still okay as long as Max Fried is the Max Fried that he has become. And I know the blister thing can come up at any time. Let's hope that behind the scenes he's found some treatments so that he could pitch 3 rounds. Because remember, it wasn't just the blister. It was a number of things for Max Fried throughout the year that limited him to not pitching very much. But the upside of that is he should have a fresh arm for this postseason. So he and Strider obviously have to be the 1-2 punch. And then, keeping with the Nashville theme, I think Kyle Wright is going to play a big part of this. They need him to give them some innings, even if it's kind of a tandem thing, and he pitches maybe 3 innings in long relief here and there behind a Bryce Elder or somebody like that. I think that's how the Braves are going to have to piece it together. You have to get creative in the postseason.
So do you think this should go chalk where it would be Braves, Dodgers in the NLCS and Orioles, Astros in the ALCS, or do you like some upsets along the way?
I think there will be upsets. If you think the Braves are a little short on pitching, take a look at what the Dodgers are going to do. They're going to throw tradition to the wind, right? There's going to be all kinds of let's go this guy for 2 innings, this guy for 3 innings. It's out of necessity because they have pretty good arms, but their best guys are gone. We're not going to see Walker Buehler. I'm not sure how long Kershaw can go in a long, drawn-out playoff run if they get to the Braves. What will he have left? He hasn't been a great postseason starter at times in his career anyway. So it's lined up for the Braves. If they play their best, I think they can make another great run.
Yeah, I hope so. I would love to see it for sure. Okay, we got a few minutes, Willie. Nick has it ready. We're going to do celebrity birthdays, so hit it. Nick's going to moderate today.
Okay, gentlemen, here we go. Filling in for Joe today.
Willie, I'll let you go first.
First one on the docket is Ernest Evans, known as Chubby Checkers. How old is he today? He's a singer.
Man, Chubby Checkers got to be 82. 82.
I'm going to say 85.
Willie is right on the money at 82.
Wow. Good job, Willie.
Starting off hot. Next one on the list, Tommy Lee, drummer for Motley Crue.
Ooh, good one.
Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. I'm going to say he is 61.
That's a good one. 59.
Willie again is on the money.
Really?
At 61.
Wow.
Spot on.
Good job, Willie.
Sonic is on fire.
Goodness
He's on
gracious.
fire.
Here we go.
You can
How
only
about
hope
this?
The Braves are on this much fire, Chase,
I
when
know.
they take the field.
Gwen Stefani. Today is her birthday. Blake Shelton's significant other.
Go, Willie. Sorry.
Gwen Stefani, I'm going to say is 50.
I'm going to say 52.
Chase is closer. 54 is the age.
Okay.
There we go. Chase is on the board.
On the board.
Let's see here. The next one we have is Neve Campbell. She appeared in the, TV show Skyscraper.
Nev Campbell?
Oh,
Nev
on.
Campbell, excuse me.
Yeah.
Nev Campbell is Party of Five. She will always be Party of Five and Scream for me. Nev Campbell, I'm a big thumbs up on Nev Campbell.
Me too.
I'm going to say, 51.
Chase?
I'm going to go a little lower. I'm going to say 46.
She is 50. And
Oh, wow.
Willie is just
Okay.
on the money today.
Nice.
That is 3-1 to Willie. I think the next one would kind of put Chase out of contention here.
One more.
You need this one here. The next one we have is Sean William Scott. He appeared in the television series Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, and the American Pie movies.
Yes.
Oh, man. Yikes. When you say Lethal Weapon, I'm thinking Mel Gibson,
Yeah, me
Danny
too.
Glover.
Sorry.
Come on. Let's get the real Lethal Weapon. Come on, Nick.
Sorry about that, Willie.
Oh, man, I'm in trouble on this one. I'm going to say 46.
Dang, that's where I was going to go. 45.
Willie wins it 47.
Ah!
Oh!
That was good.
Lights out.
How do you do it, Willie? The world wants to know, how do you do it?
Well, you got to hope, Chase, that I am the Rizal Iglesias of this contest because I am closing people out 1, 2, 3. You got to hope that your closer is hot during the postseason run.
Well, I do indeed. Willie, thanks for jumping on. We'll see you in just a few minutes as part of Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace. So looking forward to that as Willie D will come into the studio. Appreciate all the participation today on the text and the phone line. Rick Stockstill will, in fact, join us tomorrow. A little miscommunication there, so he will join us in his normal slot tomorrow at 10:30, plus John McClain at 9:30. But coming up next, Caroline, Willie, and D. Mace. More on the Titans, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
ElectronicExpress.com. We make it happen.
Actor Portrayal, based on a real patient experience.
I'm Mike. I'm a husband,